So the definition of charisma, according to Google, is a compelling attractiveness that inspires devotion in other people. In other words, it's just you being a likable person just by your presence. So let's go over the traits that make people like you for you to become likable so that you actually become a charismatic person. Let's begin. Number one, confidence. Charismatic people always have confidence. Have you ever met a charismatic person who's not confident? You probably haven't. And so the three main things that have to do with confidence in charisma are body language, tonality, and eye contact. Let's start with body language. People who are confident and hence therefore charismatic typically carry themselves with a confident and upright body posture. They're not hunched over, and when they're sitting down, they're not sitting there trying to fold themselves to make room for other people. Instead, they occupy the necessary space that they need. It's not that they're sitting like this and just occupying way too much space, but they're just naturally, because of their confidence, occupying maybe a slightly larger space than normal. Also, when they're talking, they don't talk like this, and they don't introduce themselves in groups where they're like this and uncomfortable, because this typically indicates a lack of comfort because we're kind of protecting ourselves from our core, which is where we feel most vulnerable. That's how just us as human beings are. But instead, our body language is open and it's kind of erect in the sense that we're standing with confidence, we're walking with confidence, and we're talking with confidence. Number two, the tonality. People with charisma typically have a tonality that's not necessarily deep, I would say, but I would say it's purposeful. When they're talking, it's not like they're all over the place. They're like, oh yeah, I did this, and they did this, and they did this. They're just talking too quickly. No, they typically talk in a way that's very direct, and at the same time, it's inspiring for that other person to listen, because there's a way in how they speak. They pause at certain words. They highlight certain words in the way that they speak that makes them more confident and therefore charismatic. When they're talking to you, it's not like their tonality is all over the place. No, it's more collected and directed. And as for the eye contact, which is the third element of confidence, they typically look people in the eye when they're talking to them, and they have this intent about them when they're looking at you, where you have their full attention when they're talking to you, and they have your full attention when they're talking to you, because they're really focused and at the same time very confident. When a charismatic guy sees an attractive woman, for example, he's not going to be looking over like this and like freaking and looking away and doing that. No, instead he'll be direct with kind of a smirk on his face, and he'll go up and talk to her. Even if he gets rejected, he really wouldn't care because of his confidence in himself. The second thing that I noticed that charismatic people have is they have good storytelling. Now, when I say good storytelling, I'm not necessarily talking about a person who's going to go on stage and make a TED talk or like be a stand-up comedian. But what I do mean is this: when they say stories, they typically are able to invoke emotion through their stories. For example, let me give an example for myself. When I was in pharmacy school, I was this close to failing one of the courses in my third year of pharmacy school. And that made me super scared, because if I failed it, I would have either A, had to repeat the year, which is a year wasted of my time, plus a year of expenses of pharmacy school, and pharmacy school is very expensive, or B, I may have even been kicked out of the program, but thankfully I didn't. So if I'm saying the story, I could tell someone, oh my goodness, man, you have no idea. I took this course and I was this close to failing. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy, man, but thankfully, by the grace of God, I passed because of blah, 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 blah. You see what I'm saying? Another person who doesn't really care about being charismatic, they might just be like, oh yeah, I almost failed that class. Oh yeah, it was hard. Yeah, man, yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's a bit different. And when there's positive stories involved, for example, when I traveled to Costa Rica, oh my goodness, man, I loved it. The scenery, the infrastructure, the beach, the activities, the people, they're so peaceful. Man, it's always sunny there. It's very tropical. Just such a different vibe. I'd recommend it to anyone who goes there because there's so much to do. It's so different from the States. Everyone's so peaceful. And man, you're gonna have a blast. At least if you didn't book, man, come on, you gotta get on that. You're gonna really like it. You see what I'm saying? Compare that with a person who's telling a story like, oh yeah, man, it was nice. Yeah. They have good views. Yeah. The people are cool. Yeah, man. You see what I mean? Number 3, people who are givers of good energy. They're not people who are just showing up to events and making it not felt that they're there. No, instead, when they go somewhere, when they're getting to know someone for the first time, or when they see something that they like, they're gonna give good energy because that's how they just naturally are. For example, let's just say you went to a party and on your way to your party, whatever, at the party when you first got there, you saw someone wearing really nice shoes. And in the back of your mind, you wanted to compliment him, but you're too afraid because you're afraid of what he'll think of you. Instead, that charismatic person will be like, yo, I like your shoes, man. They look really good. Where'd you get them from? Oh, really? Wow. Really? I've never seen them before. They look really good with your outfit. I hope you're having a nice day, man. By the way, what's your name? Oh, Dave? Nice. My name's Assam. And like you shake the hand firmly. You see what I'm saying? That inspires devotion and likability from the other person towards you because you just gave him a compliment and you made him feel special. That's a giver of good energy. Another example of giving people good energy could be, let's say you have a friend who you haven't seen in a few months, but let's say months ago he told you he was going on a trip, on a vacation to somewhere in Europe, I don't know, Greece, for example. And then you haven't spoke to him ever since then, like 3 months ago. But when you did speak to him, you asked him, yo, how was that trip that you went on that you were telling me about 3 months ago to Greece? How did it turn out? The pictures look amazing, man. And they're just like, yeah, they're smiling across their face. Yeah, oh man, that trip was amazing. Tell me more, bro. What was your favorite part about it? When we went to so-and-so beach, oh my goodness, those pictures look beautiful. I saw how the beaches looked. I saw the sand. I saw the hotel, the infrastructure, whatever it is. And you're listening and you're giving good energy. Wow, man, you look great, by the way. You see what I mean? And because you're sitting there and just giving that good energy, that person starts associating you with good energy. So whenever they see you, they're just like, Kevin's a really cool guy. This person's great energy. He's a great vibe. I like Kevin. Why? Because Kevin, whenever they show up to a place or to a person, they give good energy instead of being one of those energy repellents or people repellents by their shitty energy, whether it's complaining, whether it's just a frown on their face. They're not there to have a good time. They're not smiling at people. They're not complimenting people, all those good stuff. Number 4, charismatic people are good listeners. Yes, it's true that generally speaking, charismatic people are good talkers. Generally, not always, or that's at least one of the traits of most charismatic people. But at the same time, they typically know when to talk and know when to listen. For example, a charismatic person is not just going to sit there talking about himself or herself the whole damn time without listening to other people. Instead, they'll know when to listen. Let's say they're at a party and they met this random person that they liked at the party, and they're connecting with them or whatever, and so they're asking them about their hobbies, and then they find out that this person plays, I don't know, the saxophone. They've been playing the saxophone for 10 years. So they'll ask that person, wait, so let me get this straight. You've been playing the saxophone for 10 years? Wow, how was that? And the other person's gonna keep talking. Oh, I used to go 2 times a week for 10 years. My cousin introduced me to instruments, but I like the saxophone. He or she liked the violin. And so they're talking the whole time. You're like, wow, wait, so you got into that and she got into that? Wow. And it's not that you're being fake. You're actually interested. You're like, oh shit, 10 years to learn this damn instrument 2 times a week? You must be a pro. Show me videos. And when you ask them to show videos, they show you videos because it's something that they're interested in. But then you're just there just listening and taking everything in because you're interested in getting to know this person because you're just a charismatic and likable person. Another thing that charismatic people typically do when someone's telling a story is when there's a negative part to the story, they'll kind of anticipate it and live in the moment as if they were in it. For example, let's just say someone was writing a paper for college, or let's say you were a professor, I don't know, a teacher, and then you were just about to submit the work. And then the moment before the work was submitted, the power went out. And then you're just sitting there and they're about to tell you that part, but you're anticipating it. You're like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. That's what I typically do when someone tells me a point in the story where it's like a climax, where it's just about to go down like a roller coaster. And so when you're living in the moment as they're telling the story, they're really gonna like you because they're gonna feel like you were part of the moment yourself because you were so involved in the story and you liked what you were hearing and you kind of involved yourself. And so when they start seeing that you're acting that way, they're gonna feel like you were part of the story yourself, even though you weren't. You were just emotionally part of the story because you were sitting there acting as if, or emotionally acting as if you were part of the story, so it registers to them that you're familiar because of that. It's like they can kind of let loose with you and be a little kid in terms of how they can express themselves with you. And it's pretty cool when they feel that way because they're not gonna feel that way with most people. And also, by the way, there's a misconception that charismatic people are always talking, and that's not true. I like to call that personally when people are talking too much and all they're doing is talking about themselves. I like to call that hogging the microphone. It's a saying that some people say. It's like you're hogging the microphone. You want the whole thing to be about you. When you're talking, oh, I did this, I was so cool, I was so cool. People are trying to talk to you about their point of view and you instantly make it about yourself. No, you have to listen when people are talking to you so that they actually like you. When it's time to talk or make a point, sure, talk. But when it's not time to talk, don't talk. Listen. Remember, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's why you should listen way more than you speak. But anyways, that pretty much wraps it up, guys. Having charisma can elevate your life in so many ways. Whether you're a guy who wants to attract women, 110% it's going to make a difference in your likability and your attractiveness and your ability to pull girls. It's going to make a difference if you're trying to secure a job interview, because if they like you, they're going to give you the job over the person who has the same qualifications as you, but that they see kind of boring. That's just a fact. I know they probably won't tell you that, but it's the truth. It could help you in resolving conflict, because you'll be more likable and therefore they'll not feel like they want to have a conflicting situation with you. And of course, it can help you in meeting new friends. So it can just totally increase your life in terms of its value in every way, shape, or form. And by that way, having charisma is always going to be a plus in your life. And you can benefit as well as anyone else dramatically just by developing this one skill. And also, there's no such thing as, oh, people are born with charisma or not born with charisma. That's a bunch of bullshit. Charisma is basically likability, and you can make yourself more likable by doing certain things and therefore improving in every way, shape, or form. So you got the message. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.